Brothers and sisters, welcome once again to the weekly sermon. First, let us bow our heads for a moment of silence for those we have lost this week. They live on in our hearts and memories and have passed to the next great adventure. Bless them. Tonight, let me cut to the heart of the matter. The Brotherhood was at the center of a few waves that you all may have felt over the last week or so. I've been wanting to address these matters in a direct way, as I understand the impacts that these matters have on the peace and well-being of all of us that live. I also didn't want to act too rashly, and rather gain perspective while I cooled off. The night that I met with Jack Gallo and Sacha, it was to be a historical night. It was in the air, a sense of weightiness, a gravity. I told the men accompanying me I was cautious but optimistic. Given his track records and some of his promises Sacha and the others in the cult had made, I considered betrayal a possibility. But despite some difficulties, things went like they were supposed to. I had not considered that Rocket would disobey my orders. I had not considered that the betrayal I feared was Rocket's. And no, I don't blame the other members of Sword. They're good soldiers, and they were right to follow their officer's lead. It's a pity their officer has abandoned the principles that forged our Brotherhood. We're brothers, you see, and we're officers. Our actual ranks when we're military are irrelevant. We're equals. We respected each other's commands, and we never committed one another's men to a cause that wasn't worthy. We've ceded to one another's wisdom where the other's expertise was more relevant. We've disagreed in the past, we discussed, we compromised, and we've always got the job done. We're also friends. Now, it seems Rocket could not make a stand to my face. He held a secret vote with his men behind my back, lied to my face, and placed my life and those of Duty, Blackpaw, and several others in serious danger with this reckless conspiracy to unshackle himself from Fire's merciful heart. He could have just stood up to me and tell me he would not allow it. We could have handled this in private, come to a compromise, figured something out. Why didn't he? Because he was ashamed. He knew what he was doing was wrong, and he knows what he is doing now is wrong. He understands that there is a risk innocent people will get caught up in this conflict. He understands that I might have even talked him out of it. He didn't want to be talked out of it. He and his brothers are not so unlike most of the mad and the bloodthirsty. Too traumatized to realize how damaged they are and how skewed their perspective. They don't realize that they are becoming the monsters now. They want war, but they don't want the limits that good men put on those who wage war to keep them good. And to what end? To stop the cult? Ask yourselves, brothers and sisters, how many of the cult of Papa have been eliminated in the last few months? How many victories, the way Rocket wants to count them, does anyone have? Well, among known cultists that have died, who was it that killed Wraith? It was me. I executed him the right way. Who was it that killed Rakshasa, the devourer of truth? It was me. I executed him the right way. My track record for combating and putting unrepentant cultists in the ground speaks for itself. How many has the Sword put in the ground? How many voices of the serpent have they silenced? How many of the damned? Surely the mighty Sword has saved Gorka, has liberated it from the grip of Dam. No, they have not. Rocket talks tough about wanting to stop the cult and other cannibals, but they have nothing to show for their bluster. The Sword now cares more about spilling blood as often as possible rather than getting real results. They think fire spends too much time lighting the way and not enough burning the wicked. They are wrong. I pray they see it before the end. Still, they are my brothers, and I will not waste my time looking for revenge for this betrayal. Rocket, if you are listening, I forgive you. You want your family to rest in peace with justice done. But this isn't the way. You must be able to yield to reason and need. I know you are a good man. Please, it's not too late. Some would assume then that we have become closer allies with Blackpaw. However, after this weekend, Jack Gallo no longer wants my help. This upheaval has put a strain on Jack Gallo, and he is cracking under the pressure. I met with him along with Ender of Duty and Nobody of Anvil to take blood samples for research and help Jack regain control of himself. I grew very concerned after a rambling series of rants broadcast over the radio, where he promised to destabilize the land, plunge it into chaos, surrendering to the void, and sounding eerily like the cult agent Rocket believes Jack to be. He has, in the course of that meeting and the reaction to it, revealed how fragile his trust in me was, and how fragile his control is. I have told him so, and I have been labeled untrustworthy and dangerous to Jack. Jack is a friend of mine. He's saved my life. I know he wants to help Dan and Satya, but I will be damned along with him if I merely stand by while he spirals into madness. Do I believe now that Rocket was correct about Jack? No. Rocket did all he could to push Jack's buttons over the last week. Even if Rocket was right about his suspicions about Jack, that would not make his betrayal acceptable or excuse his conscienceless effort to drag the region into his quest for revenge. What is important right now is that Jack's many friends realize that standing behind Jack and supporting him in his recovery is not the same thing as standing by while he destroys his credibility with cult-like rantings and threats of doom. He needs our help, not our approval right now. Jack, if you are listening, know that what I say comes from love, not hate. You must be so afraid to want to destroy, to prevent a creation that might bind you. Don't let Rocket's rage twist you into what he says you are. I know you are a good man. It's still not too late. So where does that leave me and the Brotherhood of Fire? We are outlaws in a world where the law is to assume the worst. We are renegades because we choose to love even our enemies. We are outcasts because we refuse to pretend that killing is business as usual. We are pariahs because we call on all good men to do better. We are on everyone's side, even if few are on ours. Our record speaks for itself. We are the most successful against our enemies and the most willing to live in peace. We burn brightly to burn away the darkness and the misery and the pain, and we will not stop until our work is done. And if you see us as brothers, friends, allies, or even just fellow humans willing to live in peace, light your own fires with me now. Pile the kindling high, feel the warmth on your skin, and watch the darkness run before the light. Be unafraid to show the world your light, because we are still alive, and we will win. Bless you all, and go with God.